Welcome back to another Bourbon Santa video. Today we're going to be talking about Amburana finishing. Now there's quite a lot of Amburana finishing going on right now. The first one that I ever heard of was the Starlight Cigar Blend Batch, whatever they call it. And it was an Amburana finished bourbon. And I had a taste of that at a buddy's house over in Naples. And it blew my mind. Fantastic taste. Then I was asked by a local liquor store here close to me, Inlet Harbor Liquors, to taste blind 4 different whiskeys. And I did that, and the point was for me to tell the liquor store owner which one was my favorite of the 4. So I did that. And then he told me what it was. It was Oak and Eden, Amburana finished, and the one that I liked the best was a 4-grain whiskey, which became my first store pick, Santa Sauce, and it's a 4-grain Amburana finish, heavy fire, in bottle finishing spire. And so that's what I've got in my little Santa dispenser here. And it's outrageous, outrageous. Then I heard that ASW was doing an Amburana finished, their normal weeded mash bill, finished in Amburana, and I have a bottle of that coming. I'm picking it up on the 20th, or on the 19th, when I drive through, going to Nashville to do a different store pick. And I can't wait to try that one and see how theirs go, because their Georgia Heartwood weeded whiskey is one of my favorites, and I can't wait to see what that tastes like finished in Amburana. And I'm almost tempted, now that I think about this, I don't know why I didn't think about this before, just thought of it now, about taking a couple of these Amburana Spires and dropping them into my ASW, one of my ASWs, and seeing what in-barrel Amburana ASW would taste like compared to what they're going to give me in 18 days. 18 days of finish time. That would be an interesting comparison, just for shiz and gigs. So after that, then I was informed by the Southwest Florida Bourbon Society, who I have some great friends in, and that's on the other side of Florida from me, that they were doing a store pick that was the bourbon finished in Amburana, medium fire, no infusion. And they have George Strait on the back with Amburana by morning, which is funny. That's pretty funny. I like that. And one of the 4 that I tried when I was tasting through for my store pick was a bourbon, and that was my second favorite of what I tasted blind that day. So this is going to be my first time tasting the Southwest Florida Bourbon Society's Amburana finished bourbon, and we'll see. Now, I would love to also have the regular bourbon and 4-grain here to compare to these, but I chopped those up and gave them away to Patreon, so I don't have them. So we're just going to compare their bourbon Amburana to my 4-grain Amburana, see which one I like better, see which one I think is, and then we're going to go into some little experiments that I did with Amburana finishing. So let's do this first. We'll go through this real quick, because I know that most of you aren't going to care because you can't get this bottle. It's only available local here, and so I know that this video may not appeal to everybody, but we're going to go into some really cool experiments that you can do at home and play around with some stuff. So give me just a minute. It's very nice. Mine has a bit more spice to it on the nose. This is a little sweeter. Nah, sweeter's not the right word. This has just got more, is a little more robust, and this is a little more, friendly is not the right word either, because mine's really nice and friendly too. It's subtler. That's the word I'm looking for. It's a little more subtle. Mine kind of punches you in the face. Like, hey, take a this, look at this. huge cinnamon roll, like Cinnabon cinnamon roll. Really nice, like vanilla cream. This is a lighter oak, and I wonder how much of that comes down to char level as well. Lots of vanilla, lots of cream. Let's taste it. It's very nice. It's spicier on the palate than the nose would lead you to believe. The nose is very subtle, very, for lack of a better word, smooth and just gentle. And then the palate is a little spicier, which that's good. And on mine, little hotter feeling, a little spicier on the nose. About the same spice level on the palate. Mine has a bit of a second wave to the profile. Whereas this one, it kind of has a single wave and then a subsistence into the finish. Slightly more wood tannin on the Southwest Florida. And I get a little more smoke on mine from that 4 grain, I'm guessing. So, I like them both. I'm partial to mine. I like the 4 grain a little better, and I found that to be the case too when I did a tasting with one of the owners of Oak and Eden. I tried their whole core lineup, and I liked the 4 grain better than the bourbon on that occasion as well. So not a huge shock that I like my 4 grain a little better than their bourbon Amburana finish. Now that we're past that, let's talk about Amburana finishing. And specifically, let's talk about in-bottle finishing, which is what Oak and Eden is. That's their thing. That's their claim to fame. It's their own unique process. Now, they say that after a certain number of weeks, the spire is no longer doing anything in the bottle. I don't completely agree with that. I find that it is still quite a potent, maybe it's just the Amburana. Maybe regular oak does burn out after a certain number of weeks. There's no more for it to give off into the whiskey. But I find the Amburana has a significant effect weeks and weeks past when they say it should be done having an effect. Now, what I did, one of the first things I did, this was a crystal clear brandy that a buddy of mine, Kelsey Dime, sent to me, a homemade family kind of brandy, berries brandy. And I stuck one Amburana Spire, because at the time I was chopping up some of these to give away to my Patreon. And so I had a bunch of Spires left over. So I put one Amburana Spire in there. And it had almost immediate significant effect on the clear whiskey. And then I wanted to increase that, so I added some more. So there are 3 Amburana Spires in here, and 1 regular torched oak spire. And this stuff is a little bit crazy. It's a little bit crazy. It's a little... I can totally smell and get the Amburana flavor that I'm getting here is here. On top of a super fruity, light, delicate, beautiful, 120 something proof brandy. Oh yeah. The Amburana finish is absolutely unmistakable. The oak is really turning up nicely from that one oak spire. It's actually kind of taming the Amburana in a way, because when I tried this a few weeks ago, the Amburana was even stronger than it is now, and now I'm getting a little more of that oak. So these are things that you could totally do if you were to, one, you can buy Oak and Eden products and then take the spire out and reuse it, or you can order spires at different torch levels or char levels or whatever, toast levels off of Amazon, or there's other places. But you can do these experiments at home. Amazingly, this was an absolutely clear bottle of whiskey. Not whiskey, brandy. And now it's got this beautiful golden tone to it from these used spires that should, by now, be having zero effect. Especially the oak one, because that oak one was sitting on a shelf at my local Total Wine for a long time before I bought it. And the Amburanas that are in here are from my pick, so those are several months old now, and they're still having a magnificent effect in this bottle of brandy. So there's a lot of stuff going on there. So now, in addition to finishing brandy, I also dropped one Amburana Spire into a bottle of the new Early Times bottle. And if you've watched my previous video on Early Times, where I compared the new bottle to the old bottle, you'll know that I don't really like the new bottle. I'm not happy with the changes. I can absolutely taste a difference between the two. So I know they changed something. So I figured, why not? Because I don't even like this bottle. I'm going to throw an Amburana Spire in there and see what happens. The nose is so much better. It's not overly Amburanaed because diminishing returns from that spire, but it's got some of those Amburana notes. Oh, that made it so much better. Oh, it mellowed out some of that harshness and that roughness that was in the Early Times, the new Early Times. Man, that's so much better. So much better. And then I also dropped one into a bottle of Weller Special Reserve and let that sucker bob around in there for a while. I'd have to go back and look now. It's been about a month and a half since I put these in here. And if you know me, you know that I don't love Weller Special Reserve. I like the 107, that's pretty good. The kosher wheat up there somewhere. The kosher wheat is wonderful, but the SR is just rough and harsh and grating and just not great. And the wheat picks up the Amburana. It just magnifies it in some way, and which is also part of why I'm excited for the ASW pick, or Amburana Finished release, special release, because that wheated whiskey, I know from experience playing with these, is going to, and that's really the difference with my 4-grain, is they add wheat to it over this, and this has a bigger Amburana, so I'm super excited to try that. Wheat seems to absorb Amburana and really play with it. Oh my. That's good now. Ooh, baby. That is fantastic. Holy smoke. Oh my. That's ridiculous. Ooh. Creamy, butterscotchy, lots of just beautiful cinnamon. It took away all the harshness and just left just deliciousness. The last one that I did was I took this 1.75. I took this 175 of Woodford Reserve, and I put 2 Amburana Spires in there because it's a big boy. It's a big boy, and it's a little more than half full. So I put 2 Amburana Spires in there to see what they would do. And when I tried this one before, this was actually my favorite of the 3. So let's see where it's at now. It's been a few weeks since I tried this. Oh, son of a bitch. Amburana finishing goes with Woodford. If we could get Woodford to take their double oaked and Amburana finish it, which is what I should do next. That's the thing I should do next. I'm gonna do that next. I'm gonna throw an Amburana Spire in a double oak bottle. That's I'm gonna do that. That would be crazy. Or in a batch proof. Oh, a batch proof bottle with Amburana. This is the most delicious smelling wood stain, wood varnish, shoe polish, shoe leather, boot leather, saddle leather. Oh, it's like I just walked into a tack store. If you're a horse person, which I grew up a horse person, a nice oiled tack store, all that leather, it's like, oh, it's heaven. Heaven. And that's what I smell in this. Vanilla and leather. Oh man, that's so good. That's dangerously good. Oh, and so gentle and smooth and just chug it. That's dangerously good. Now, these 4 bottles are all getting chopped up and given away to my Patreon. So, be a good time to jump into Patreon. Just saying. Link will be in the bio. Or, in the bio. In the description. Thanks for watching, guys. Amburana is really interesting. Am I in love with in-bottle finishing? No. I'm not in love with in-bottle finishing. I would prefer they were finishing in Amburana barrels. And I think that's the right way to do it. Now, is it fun to be able to do home finishing with spires on your own at home? Absolutely. That's super fun, super cool. I dig it. I love everything about it. But as a product, I'm not super stoked about it because the longer it sits, the more effect that Amburana Spire has had. So when, like from a barrel picking perspective, when I taste it, it's not perfectly what it's going to taste like a month after you buy that bottle, because it's going to continue to change. And as you have more air in the bottle and that Amburana is messing with less and less whiskey, it's having more of an effect. And I know they say there's the diminishing return of effect, but there's enough left in the spire after a month that I can finish other whiskeys with it. So there's still a huge effect there. And to where it's discernible, like I can tell that these were finished with Amburana. Not just that they changed, that I can actually taste it. So I'm not a huge fan of the finishing that way. I would prefer finishing in a barrel, but it's really cool to be able to do these home experiments. Once you've bought an Oak and Eden, you can pull that spire out and play with it yourself. So yeah, it's cool, it's fine, it's a thing. Until next time, I hope you have a great day.